Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm here in tropical West Philadelphia, but I have a great connection to DC. I actually went to school at George Washington University, and I'm looking forward to post-pandemic, spending more time down there, and hopefully we can have conversations like this in person in the future. So my name is Andy Burstein. I am with Accessible Pharmacy Services for the Blind. We are a home delivery pharmacy and healthcare service, and we specialize in patients who are blind, deaf-blind, and have low vision. We're the only provider of its kind in the way that we support our patients and help them manage their medication, manage their diabetes. And we are the largest blind-owned healthcare company in the country. So what I figured I could do today is give a little bit of background about our company, share with you what we currently do to support patients, and share with you some other ideas and things that we have that are in the pipeline for the future. So the background of our company is we're a relatively new company. I started the company with my business partner, Alex Cohen. And the way I met Alex was actually through Little League. Our kids play ball together. And I guess about 5 years ago, I was running a healthcare marketing firm. And we were developing strategies for our clients just around accessibility in general. Our clients were healthcare systems, individual physicians' offices, veterinary offices, dental offices, the pharmaceutical industry. And we were trying to help them understand online accessibility and on-location accessibility. And I decided to build an advisory committee of people with different disabilities who could give me some insight into their particular experience. So I knew Alex through Little League, and I didn't know Alex too well, but he was a nice guy. His kids were good ball players, and Alex is blind. So I was able to get Alex's email address, and I shot him an email. And I was like, hey, I'm not sure if you remember me. Our kids used to play ball together. This is what I'm looking to do. Are you free for a cup of coffee or a beer? I'd love to just get your advice and share some thoughts. So Alex and I met up for a cup of coffee. And I shared with him what I was looking to do. And I got to learn about Alex. And as I mentioned, I didn't know too much about him up until that point. Alex was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa in his late teens. He went to college at UNLV in Las Vegas. His goal was to be in the hospitality industry. So he was taking his classes. He was working part-time in the casinos, part-time in some of the hotels there, trying to learn the business from a hands-on perspective. Unfortunately, by the time he graduated, he had lost most of his usable eyesight. And he got a job in the hospitality industry, but there wasn't too much upward mobility for a blind hotel manager. And so he moved back to Philadelphia, and he ultimately went to school at Drexel University and earned a PhD. And he wrote his doctoral dissertation on the accessibility of the American retail marketplace for blind consumers. And he broke down within his doctoral dissertation the top 100 retailers in America, how accessible they were online, at their physical location, and on the telephone. And so here I am thinking like, oh, hang out with this guy, Alex. He's a nice guy. I can pick his brain a little bit. Maybe he'll sit on my advisory committee. Little did I know that Alex is arguably the foremost expert in retail accessibility for consumers who are blind. And so Alex and I hit it off, and we would basically get together for coffee like every week. Like once a week, we would meet up, we'd hang out for like an hour, we'd brainstorm ideas. He would give me some more insight into his research. And we identified pretty quickly, we have some ideas about how could we deliver some services to the marketplace. And we identify within his research, the pharmacy industry in particular was the least accessible and the most challenging of all the different retail categories. And so we started thinking like, what would it be like if we created a business plan focusing on the ultimate pharmacy experience for consumers who are blind? And over the next few months, Alex and I would chip away, and we would take our ideas and put them on paper. And we wrote what we thought was at the time, the perfect business plan. And this was pre-pandemic. So we got in our car, we drove down to the NFB headquarters in Baltimore. We got some feedback from some of the team there about the pharmacy experience and what they know about the marketplace. We got some great feedback from the AFB. We worked very closely. We had some relationships with some people at the state ACB, Pennsylvania ACB, and the Pennsylvania NFB. Alex was doing research with the FFB. All the Bs were involved. And we also held some focus groups of individuals who are blind in Philadelphia, just to get some insight into their particular experience. And we took our business plan and basically got it to a point where like, this is the ultimate. Like, how do we now take this great idea and take it to market? And we spent the next few months trying to find a pharmacist, pharmacy group, healthcare organization who could help us realize the opportunity. At the end of the day, I'm a business person. Alex is an academic. We don't know the first thing about shipping medication or delivering medication or prescribing medication. We ultimately partnered with our third business partner, Dr. Jason Barrett. Jason has his doctorate in pharmacy, and he spent the first 25 years of his career really focusing on the concept of personalized medication for individuals with cognitive and intellectual disabilities. And his whole model was based upon the fact that like everyone is different. It's not a one size fits all model like the big pharmacy chains. And the big pharmacy chains do what they do incredibly well. They've perfected the model of you walk into the pharmacy with your prescription, your insurance card, and your credit card, and you walk out with your meds. And they do that so well that they're all making billions and billions of dollars. But it's the opposite of an experience where you really need to learn more about the patient and figure out how to help this patient manage their medication in a way that they can live more independently, understand exactly what they're doing, and ultimately live healthier lives. And so Jason was our guy. The three of us formed our company, and we decided to launch our business in April 2020, like just at the beginning of the pandemic. And obviously none of us knew what was going to transpire, but we all know what did transpire. But fast forward to today, we now have 65 employees, 25% of which are blind themselves. We're licensed in 34 states to provide services, to deliver medication, and to support patients. And by the way, that includes DC and Virginia and Maryland. And we're growing. Our hope is that by the end of this year, we'll have a national presence and we'll be able to support patients in every state throughout the country. All right, that being said, what exactly do we do? We provide prescription medication, over-the-counter medication, vitamins and supplements, a full range of diabetic supplies, including insulin, eye drops, both prescription eye drops and over-the-counter eye drops, small accessible medical devices, things like talking thermometers, talking glucose meters, talking blood pressure cuffs, etc. We also support our patients who have guide dogs and pets with pet medication. It's not a big part of our company, but it's something that's growing nicely. And if nothing else, we're able to support our existing patients with it. What makes us unique is not just what we provide, but how we provide it and how we support patients. That's what really differentiates us from everyone else in the marketplace. So we focus on three pillars. Our first pillar is accessible support. We meet our patients where they want to be met. More often than not, that's on the telephone. We have to have a conversation with the patient because we need to understand things about the patient before we deliver medication. So more often than not, as opposed to the conversation happening initially at the pharmacist where they just send us meds, it starts with us. We encourage our patients to call us so that we can learn a few things. Obviously, we capture name, address, insurance, phone number. We accept most insurance, by the way, including Medicaid, Medicare. We have to learn about the individuals, like what's your level of eyesight? What's your level of hearing? We have a great deal of dual sensory loss patients. How are you currently managing your medication? What are the challenges of managing your medication? What kind of medications do you take? Are you experiencing any side effects that you're concerned about? Who are the prescribers? Who's your existing pharmacy? Are there caregivers involved with your medication management? And we take all that information back. And usually in about a day, we contact the insurance company to confirm eligibility. We may reach out to some of the prescribers in case we have some questions and we need some insight. We have our pharmacists review all of the medication that's being taken just to make sure there aren't any unintentional side effects that maybe a combination of meds may be causing, or maybe some things that we could tweak to get better results. We call the patient back, and if they want to move forward with us, they can move forward with us. And let me pause for a second. Everything we do is essentially free. We don't charge for delivery, support, packaging, labeling. We make our money by being reimbursed by insurance companies. Things that aren't covered by insurance companies, we take credit cards, and our prices are incredibly inexpensive. And quite often we'll actually advocate on a patient's behalf for additional reimbursement with an insurance company. All right, so that's accessible support. So that usually happens on the telephone, but it can also happen on Be My Eyes. We were the first healthcare company to join Be My Eyes, and you can find us on the specialized help section. And similarly, we can have that conversation, but we can also help patients using Be My Eyes, including with COVID testing. We do home COVID testing. It changes from week to week because of supply and trends and so on and so forth. And I can answer questions about that, but we can essentially send someone a home rapid antigen test. They can engage us through Be My Eyes, and we can help them navigate taking the test and understanding the results. The biggest challenge we have with that now is gaining access to a test, but also the tests that we gain access to, they change from week to week. So it's a very cumbersome, complicated model. And obviously, like all of us, our hope is that the next generation of home testing, whether it's COVID testing, cholesterol testing, drug testing, pregnancy testing, the technology exists to make those all accessible. It's just a matter of companies being pushed to do it, companies realizing the financial opportunity, support groups, speaking about it, and politicians embracing it and encouraging it. So we all look forward to that day. We also, as I mentioned, we work with a lot of deaf blind patients, and so we do work with patients via text, email, and VRI. All right, so that's our first pillar, accessible support. Our second pillar is accessible packaging. We have a full range of free, accessible packaging, and we encourage our patients to try different kinds of packaging every month until they identify something that helps them effectively manage their meds. So we have pre-sorted disposable pill organizers, and we can put in them prescription meds, over-the-counter meds, vitamins, and supplements. So rather than you getting all your pill bottles every month and having to set it up and organize it in a pill organizer, we send it to you automatically every month, pre-sorted. And we have different size and shape ones, depending on the quantity of medication, the size of the pills, and the number of times during the day that you may need to take your meds. We have individual daily packets, which are basically, it's the same machine that Amazon has for its pill pack. We have the same machine. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's essentially almost like a 3-inch by 3-inch plastic baggie that is all of your medication sorted in it, pre-sorted, based upon the time of the day you're taking and the day of the week that you're taking it. It's actually what I use personally. We send it in a disposable dispenser box. We have different size and shape bottles. So for those who really like bottles, we have small bottles that basically fit all the pills that you're taking, and we can put a child-proof lid on it. But for those that have arthritis or Parkinson's or struggle to open up bottles, we have oversized bottles with pop-off lids. Finally, we just introduced something about 2 months ago, which is single liquid doses of infant over-the-counter medication. It comes in a single plastic tube. And what it does is it empowers a parent who is blind to safely administer infant medication to their children. We just kicked it off, and we're hoping to, based upon the feedback and support we get from the community, we're looking to expand upon that and introduce other kinds of medication as well. So that's our second pillar, accessible packaging. Our third pillar is accessible labeling. And Sean, this is where I'll touch on script talk. We are agnostic towards labeling. There's a lot of different kinds of no tech, low tech, and high tech labeling. Our goal is to learn about all the solutions that exist in the marketplace and make those solutions available to our patients. So regardless of what you like or combination of things that you like, we can package at no charge all of your packages with these kinds of labels. So for example, We have traditional text labels, and we can do that in both Spanish and in English. We are able to print oversized labels for those who would benefit from a larger font. And we're actually in the process now of looking at different large font labelers. We think we can actually expand on that a little bit and print even larger. So we're reviewing some equipment right now. We can package things in Braille, both grade 1 Braille or contracted Braille, depending on preference and proficiency. And then we have a series of low-tech solutions. So I'll start with ScriptTalk. We are huge fans of ScriptTalk. ScriptTalk is a very simple technology. It's been around for about 20, 25 years. It was developed by a company called Envision America, and they were really pioneers in this space. To boil it down to its like lowest common denominator, ScriptTalk uses technology called RFID technology, which stands for radio frequency identification. And it's essentially, it's a sticker that has a small microchip embedded in it. And what we do is we're able to upload the prescription information to the microchip, stick it on any of our packaging, and then the user, the patient, either using a free app that can be found on Android or the iPhone, or a free device that ScriptTalk can send you. We can help you coordinate that if you don't have one or you're interested in one. It's about the size of a clock radio. You simply scan your package over the app or over the device, and it reads all the prescription information out loud. It's very user-friendly. It's awesome. It's great. They've been a great resource for us. We're huge fans of theirs. There's other similar technology that exists in the marketplace. So there's a company we're launching a program with in March called Way Around. The company's called Way Around. They have a product called WayTag. And it uses very similar, slightly different, but similar technology as ScriptTalk. Their approach is a little different. They actually create home labeling tags. So you can actually get the Way tags to label products in your home, like your food or consumer products. They also have washable stickers that you can put on your clothing. And using a free app, you scan the device and it reads all the information out loud. So we're pretty excited about that. We have two higher tech technologies. The first is we're about to kick off a program with OrCam. So for those of you who aren't familiar with OrCam, it's fascinating. It's like science fiction. And it's something that, 10, 20 years from now is going to be unbelievable. They refer to themselves as computerized vision. OrCam was a division of Mobileye. Mobileye was an Israeli company that used artificial intelligence to create technology that powers self-driving or autonomous vehicles. And so it's technology that can be put into a car, and without a driver, that car could get from point A to point B. It could avoid potholes, it could stay in its lane, and it could avoid pedestrians. So that same technology, by the way, Mobileye was acquired by Intel for $15 billion. And, fast forward a few years from now, we're going to see self-driving cars, and it all uses that technology. But that same technology was extended to the OrCam division. And OrCam essentially uses parts of that technology on a little device that can get attached to a pair of eyeglasses. And it essentially can explain to a user who's wearing the glasses, it has a little speaker like right by the ear, and it can explain to the person with the eyeglasses what's in front of them. It's still very much in its infancy, and it's growing. We're very excited to get in on the ground floor. We're doing some low-tech stuff with them, even though it's high-tech technology, but our hope is to fully integrate medication solutions into their technology. Finally, we're developing our own technology with Helen Keller Services. Helen Keller Services is an umbrella organization that does incredible things in a multitude of areas, but their core focus is on deaf-blind individuals. And so we're creating a labeling solution that can be added to a package using both a sticker and a tactile component to help an individual identify where this label is. There's also a visual component to it as well for caregivers. And using a smartphone app, an individual can scan a package and it'll present the prescription information in one of three ways. It will appear on the person's screen in the event that they still have sight. It will read the information out loud in the event that that individual still has hearing. And it will seamlessly extend to a Braille display and provide all that information as well. So we're pretty excited about that. We're going to be doing a pilot program with them in the next month or so, just to get some feedback and get the tweaks that, tweak it a little bit, get the imperfections out of it. And our hope is that by summertime, we'll be in full stride with that. And it's an incredible way for people who are deafblind to be able to manage their medication. And we're pretty excited about that. All right, so that's how we deliver our medication. That's what we do: accessible support, accessible packaging, accessible labeling. Some other things that we're working on. We had our first college internship program last summer with Visions out of New York City. We had a single student who was working with us who's blind, and it exceeded our expectations. And we're looking to this summer have anywhere from 3 to 5 college students who are blind working with us. And we expose them to all the different things that we do. So we had this one student in particular, like we threw him in the deep end, and we, introduced into healthcare and the pharmacy industry and the pharmaceutical industry and marketing and market research and public speaking. And it was awesome. And we're excited to expand upon that. We run a series of educational programs. They're free. And I'll share this information with Sean so that he can share it with everyone. In December, for example, we ran a program on diabetes and blindness. And we had some incredibly interesting and dynamic speakers speaking about nutrition and accessible diabetes management tools and devices, about simple tips to managing diabetes. We had a retinal surgeon who specializes in diabetic retinopathy. We had someone from University of Pennsylvania's Diabetes Education Center speaking about nutrition and information. And the American Diabetes Association was part of it as well, speaking about resources that they have for diabetics who may be blind. The next one we have on the calendar is on February 25th. The topic is on breast cancer information for blind women. And the background of this is my ex-wife's a breast cancer survivor. Thank God she's okay. But, in going through the whole experience and reflecting back on it, a lot of the resources were not accessible at all. And, you're trying to digest this information under a really scary set of circumstances. And you have to make very quick decisions and learn a lot of information very rapidly. And so we're going to start taking steps to make some of that experience accessible. So we have a webinar. The oncologist who read my ex-wife's mammogram and identified her cancer very early on and ultimately saved her life, is going to be speaking about just an overview, like breast cancer 101. But the key takeaway is, an oral instruction for how to do a self-exam. And so nothing like that really exists. So we're going to be creating an oral explanation of how to do a self-exam of a woman's breast. We're going to be presenting it during this webinar, and we're going to be collaborating with Hadley after the fact to take that and subsequent messages and create small bite-sized, self-help healthcare information that'll be available on the Hadley website as well. Other speakers we have someone from the American Cancer Society speaking about resources that are available to blind individuals who are dealing with cancer. We have our director of women's health speaking about a medication that may be used by individuals who are dealing with cancer, both during cancer, with treatment, and then long-term. And then we also have a woman who's a pharmacist and an oncologist who's going to speak about how cancer treatment, such as chemotherapy or radiation treatment, how that impacts the body's ability to absorb traditional medication, regular medication that we may be taking, or diabetes, and so on and so forth. So we invite everyone to join us there. Two final things of just the things that we're very proud of. The first is the New York Times wrote a feature article on us last year. So if anyone wants to Google New York Times accessible pharmacy, you'll find the article about us. And it was a big thrill to have, we tell our story all day long. We're excited about our story. We love our story. But to hear a New York Times journalist of that level of a journalist tell our story was incredibly thrilling. And finally, the federal government awarded us through the FCC, the Advancement in Accessibility Award for 2021. And it was us, Apple Computer, and an organization out of Dallas, Texas that provides communication information for the deaf community. Having the federal government acknowledge the work that we're doing for advancing accessibility was really special. So that's what we do as a company. That's who we are. Version 1.0 of our business was Alex and my ideas and his research. We're smack in the middle of version 2.0 now. And 2.0 is happening because patients join us. And we encourage you to join us. There's no cost to join us. There's no cost to leave us. If 3 months from now you don't want to be our patient anymore because you want to go back to your CVS, just call us and we'll help you back out of it. But we also, if you do join us, we encourage you to share your experience with us, to tell us what you like about us, what you don't like about us, how we can be more accessible, how we could provide more services, and what other services are you interested in? And so, we encourage you to be part of our community. The easiest way to find us is our website's accessiblepharmacy.com. It's a screen reader friendly website. If you want to call, you can speak to a live body in our pharmacy. Our phone number is 215-799-9900. That's 215-799-9900. I'm going to put that in the chat too. And Sean has our information. If anyone, we're going to open up the floor for some questions. If anyone has any questions like tomorrow and you forget, obviously you can just call the pharmacy, or my personal email address is andy@accessiblepharmacy.com. Obviously I'm not a healthcare provider. So if you're asking a health related question, I'm going to pass it on to a specialist in the company, but please feel free to reach out to me. One final thing that we're working on longer term this year, this summer, we're going to be launching a parallel telehealth program. And the goal is to make the ultimate accessible telehealth program that's accessible, that's welcoming, that pairs providers who have insight, understanding, and experience in working with people with a full range of disabilities with patients who would benefit from their services. And so we're very excited about that. And obviously we'll share that information with everyone when it's available. So Sean, I'm going to stop speaking. That was about 30 minutes or so. So I'll stop speaking. I'd love to open up the floor for questions, thoughts, suggestions, ideas. I'm not sure if anyone on the call is a patient. If you are and you want to share your experience, we'd love to hear it. But I'd love to hear your questions, thoughts, and ideas. So thank you everyone again for taking some time out in the middle of the day. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy. So for those of you who have a question, there's a microphone at the bottom left of your screen. You want to click that to unmute. You can also use on your keyboard the Alt button plus the letter A at the same time to unmute. And if you're on the phone, it is *6. Mindy, you're unmuted. Did you have a question or are you just unmuted?
No, I did have a question for you.
Hey, Mindy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
First of all, I wanted to thank you so much. This is such great information.
Oh, thank you.
I was just recently diagnosed with Stargardt's disease.
Okay.
So it's, a sudden onset of this at a advanced age. So it's life-changing.
Sure.
And just finding out this different information is so helpful because there's so much stuff out there, I guess, but I don't know about it. So my question to you is, since this is something I would love to use, make my life so much easier, eliminate some medication mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I also suffer from anxiety and PTSD.
Okay.
And what is your turnaround time as far as the medication goes, and how large of a quantity do you give at one time?
Oh, sure. Good. All good questions. So the first thing is, it's interesting. We're just scratching the surface. There's so much more that we could be doing, and we're still learning ourselves. Our turnaround time is, once we get set up with you and we connect and determine eligibility with your insurance company, you get it the next day. We also provide active refill management. What I mean by that is we'll send you your batch of medication. You'll get the next month's batch before that one expires. So, or it runs out. That way you don't have to have a fire drill like the next day or call in for refills. Like we handle all the refills. We'll also manage the relationship with the physicians. So in the event that a prescription needs to be renewed, you'll know way in advance that you need to connect up with the doctor. So not with like a day before your meds run out, you're like, oh, I got to go schedule an appointment with my physician. We're also able to do things like, in emergency situations, like you need something the next day, like we can overnight it to you. We have the ability to deliver controlled substances that need refrigeration. At least once a week, we get a call from someone, like I'll create a scenario, like where they're like, I'm in Miami for a wedding and I'm at a hotel and I left my meds at home. Can you help me? And we'll do one of a few things. We'll overnight it to the hotel, or quite often we can find a local pharmacy where we'll facilitate having that local pharmacy deliver it to the hotel for you.
Awesome.
Oh, no, you had one other question, which was the quantity. There's
Yeah.
two things there. One is a lot of it's predicated on what the insurance company will allow us to do. So if the insurance company allows us to ship a 60, 90-day supply, we can do that. It really is dictated by them. The other thing is, if we're using some of our customized packaging, we prefer to just do 1 month at a time, and we'll automatically send it to you. That way, in the event that you change a pill, for example, you don't now have all these meds and you have to break them all down yourself, because the insurance companies usually don't let us replace those meds, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Is it generic or brand name?
we both.
Both, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin's iPhone, go ahead.
Hi, can you
Hey,
hear me?
Kevin.
Yes.
Good, good. You partially answered my question. The quantity, my healthcare, well, the company that I use for my healthcare, they just raised the quantity that I can have to 100, which
Okay.
brings my costs down.
Okay.
So that was my question. What is the quantity requirements for your services? I would certainly need them in a bottle because your packaging would be an issue.
Okay. Hey, that's very easy. And if your insurance company allow us to ship 100 pills at a time, then full steam ahead.
Okay, okay. My other question, the script talk, is
Okay.
that something that has been available at other pharmacies already?
Yeah,
Or is
they've
that
been around for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they do some really cool stuff. But yeah, it's available. Some pharmacies charge for it, some don't. We provide it free of charge.
Right, great, great. All right, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, Kent's iPad. Would you like to go next? And Kent, you are on mute right now.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi.
sir.
Hey, Ken.
Do you have automatic refills?
Yes.
Okay. And do you happen to know, do you participate with WellCare in Maryland?
Yeah, to be frank with you, I think so. I'm not personally knowledgeable. We deal with thousands of insurance policies, different kinds. So it's as simple as call up. If we do accept it already, we'll say yes. If we're not sure if it's eligible, it takes us about a day to confirm with them. If it's not a policy or a thing that we do accept, we'll start the process of getting approved. And sometimes that takes a day, sometimes it takes a few months. The only time we run into situations where we have challenges are two things. One, for military veterans get, and they should, quite often free medication from the VA. There are no copays, and it's very easy to get. And we still work with patients, who get their meds from the VA, but it comes down to that individual determining, is it worth it for me to get the copays, pay the copays, to get all the other things that we do to support a patient. Also, sometimes insurance policies that are connected to unions, there's some issues there as well. But I guess the punchline is, if you just call, someone should be able to answer that question and help you navigate that information pretty easily.
And would I be able to get like quotes for my medicines?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Are you I have CVS Caremark.
Okay.
Is that someone you compete with closely?
Yeah, we you know, which is we compete to the extent that we're all providing medication, but we don't have any competition. There's no one who does what we do in the blind community.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful service. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Wilma, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got in just as you were talking about the app, so I apologize if I'm.
That's all right. Hey, Wilma.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. I got in while you were talking about the apps. Anyway, what are the two apps you were discussing? Are those apps that are on Apple? How do we access them?
Oh, good question. So Script Talk is available both on Apple and on Android.
Okay.
WayTag is available both on Apple and on Android.
I'm sorry, what was the second one?
WayTag.
Okay.
And then the technology that we're building personally initially is just going to be on the iPhone, but we're trying to avoid the Apple Store. We're actually speaking with some people at Apple. Our model is really targeting individuals who are deaf and blind. So we're trying to get it set up where we could skip a step, where you don't have to go to the Apple Store and download it. We can simply text it to an individual's smartphone. And by clicking the text link, it automatically downloads and opens up on their phone.
Okay, thank you. This is very exciting what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. And that being said, Wilma, if you're trying to like figure all those out with the downloads, and if you bump into any problems, please feel free to email me. It's Andy@accessiblepharmacy.com.
All right, and while we're waiting for other people to ask their questions, Andy, can you go over the relationship you all have with Be My Eyes and the COVID tests?
Oh, sure. All right, so we were the first healthcare company to join the Be My Eyes platform. It was actually when we first started our company. You know, we initially use it as a communication tool to help our patients, you know, troubleshoot, for lack of a better term. So if a patient needs help identifying a pill or reading a label or understanding a label, or we would use it to train people on how to use accessible devices. So if we sent someone a continuous glucose monitoring system, where we sent them a talking thermometer, they could get that device, engage us through Be My Eyes, and we could help them navigate and train them on how to use that device. When COVID got in full swing and testing became more available, initially we were doing a pretty heavy lift. We were doing a saliva test that got mailed back to labs, where someone would engage us either through the phone or through Be My Eyes. We would send them a saliva kit. They would engage us through Be My Eyes, and we would help them, you know, spit into the tube, close up the tube, stick it in a self-addressed stamp envelope. It would get picked up by FedEx, sent to a lab, and then 2 days later, we would contact the patient and review the results. Thankfully, we advanced to rapid antigen tests. And for a while, we were shipping rapid antigen tests similarly. We would send it to a patient. They would get the test. They would contact us. We would help them navigate the test, and we would read the results to them. We were doing that for a while, and then it stopped. In the fall and winter last year, we went like a 4-month window where we didn't send out a single test. And then the bell rang again with the Omicron version. And now our challenge is gaining access to tests, gaining access to tests that we find to be easier to navigate, ones that are still affordable. And so on a weekly basis, our ability to gain access to the tests, the pricing of these tests, the complexity of these tests change from week to week. But and actually this week, I don't think we have any tests this week. I think we had like 5 and they were all gone yesterday. We can still go through that same process where someone can contact us, we can send them the tests and use Be My Eyes to help them understand and use the test and get the results. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the Be My Eyes specialized help section, there's a section on the Be My Eyes app where rather than getting connected to a random volunteer, you can connect with us. You can connect with for tech support. It's awesome. We have a lot of people who we work with actually use it for tech support. So you can contact Apple, Google, Microsoft, and they can now actually engage with you and help you troubleshoot technology. There are a great deal of blind and low vision resources and organizations that exist on the Be My Eyes app. There's a pasta company you can actually contact. I think it's Barilla Pasta, and you can get some experience and knowledge and insight on how to cook in the kitchen. Procter & Gamble is a big supporter of Be My Eyes, and there's different sections within specialized help for the Procter & Gamble detergent brand. So you can contact Gain or Tide and learn and get help with laundry. You can contact, actually, it's interesting, Procter & Gamble is the largest manufacturer of home pregnancy tests. And so a woman who needs help with a pregnancy test can connect directly to a Procter & Gamble representative. It's a woman who answers the phone, who answers the Be My Eyes app. And that woman can help you navigate the test, troubleshoot the test, and identify if in fact you're pregnant or not, or if the test is faulty. So that's how we work with Be My Eyes, and that's how Be My Eyes works in the specialized help section. They're slowly starting to add a few other pharmacies, physicians' health networks, and healthcare networks. It's awesome what they're doing. We're very grateful to be a part of their family. We work a lot with them closely, not only to do things like what we're doing, but we also run some educational programs with them. And they're an incredible organization, and they're growing still. And there's so many things. They have, I think, close to 350,000 blind users now, and approximately 4 million volunteers in their network. And I don't know the current count of number of companies and organizations that are involved, but similarly, that's growing as well.
Thank you, Andy. And yeah, for those of you who don't know about Be My Eyes, I cannot recommend it enough. There's now 5.6 million volunteers. I'm one of them. I get calls maybe once every 2 weeks. So it's not utilized as much as it could. So if you want to use it, I highly recommend it.
I'm curious, like what button you push to get those calls. I'm a volunteer as well. I've had one call, and it was a woman at a vending machine who wanted, I think it was pretzels.
Right.
So she was a blind woman. She was at the vending machine, and she was like, "Can you help me with the pretzels?" So she held the phone up to the machine. We identified the numbers and digits for the pretzels. I helped her move her hand over to the keypad where she typed in the digits. And it wasn't a tactile keyboard. It was just, whatever, like D11. She slid her dollar bill into the machine, and she got her pretzels. And the whole conversation lasted about 30 seconds. And me, I was like buzzing with excitement. I was like, oh, I want more of these. And my phone hasn't rang since. So your every other week one is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I feel blessed whenever I get a call, but sometimes you don't answer it fast enough and it moves on to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Any other questions for Andy? Again, to unmute yourself, Alt+A or the button at the bottom. Sandy, go ahead.
Hi, this is a great presentation. I've heard about accessible pharmacy for a couple of years. I've been telling all my friends, and I think I'm going to become a user. But I have a
thanks,
question.
Andy.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you allowed to divulge how rapidly your customer base has grown and how many customers you have now, or is that sort of like?
I don't. Look at this. We deliver thousands of prescriptions a month.
Okay.
We're growing nicely so far this year. The process of adding new states has been really challenging during COVID. Like, for example, we just got approved like in January for Kentucky and South Carolina. And we had submitted the applications in like 14 months ago. So our hope is that when we're in full stride, we'll be able to service everyone nationally, but we are growing, and we're very grateful for it.
So are you currently mostly the Northeast? How many states do you serve?
34, but that includes, there's 32 states, but that we also have Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Kent, I see your hand is raised. You are muted right now.
Hi. One other question, please. Where are the prescriptions mailed from?
Oh, our main distribution center is in suburban Philadelphia.
Okay, Thanks.
You're welcome. If you're familiar with Philly, so I live on University of Pennsylvania's campus in West Philadelphia, and our main distribution center is in Bucks County in Fairless Hills, right by the Oxford Valley Mall. And that's where our team resides, and that's where we distribute all the medication from.
All right, I'm going to give 30 more seconds for anyone who has a question.
I don't have a question, but this is fantastic information. Thank you both
Oh.
for sharing this with us. This is really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
All right, well, I think we can go ahead and wrap up here. Andy, thank you so much again for presenting today. I really like this program. I'm really excited to be able to share it with our clients. For those of you who want to see what some of these packaging looks like, we do have it available at our Low Vision Learning Center as well in Bethesda.